I'm here from Black Swan today, Black Swan Data. So just to give you a bit of a backstory into us as a company, so we very much specialise in data science and predictive data. So we work with the likes of Ciesco, GSK, etc. So something we did with Ciesco very recently is through social listening, we were able to predict the exact week for them to put out their barbecue range, which obviously was a very exciting campaign we did with them and saved them a hell of a lot of money. So why I'm here today, so we as branders, marketers, consumers are exposed to over 5,000 branded messages a day. So the question is, as a brander, as a marketer, how are you ensuring that your product, that your message has that key cut through to beat the competitors? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play a very quick visual game here because I am a psychology graduate and this is what I like to do. So what I've done here is I've slightly edited the image between A and B. So there's a very localized area which has been edited. So is anyone in the room able to see where I have edited that image? I'll give you a couple more seconds before I give you a very big clue. There. Okay, so this is what we would call a low visual attention area. Now when we run a map over it, what you can see is the red area here. This is showing you where your visual attention was naturally drawn within that marketing asset. And obviously because the localized change there was in a very low visual attention area, your eye wasn't drawn to it. So for example, if that was a piece of marketing collateral and your key message was placed within there, you've already lost the battle before it's being placed out. Okay? We then have a second example. Again, exactly the same principle as before. Are you able to see where I've made that alteration? Slightly quicker, right? Okay. When I run the visual saliency map again, you can see that that's in a high visual attention area. So it's pretty much corroborating with what you just experienced. The two examples, one in a low visual attention area, one in a very high attentional area. So this is why I'm here today. So the product that I run and I'm in charge of is called Dragonfly. So very much in partnership with Queen Mary's University. So one of our board members went to a lecture on artificial intelligence and robotics around three and a half years ago now. And the lecturer came up with something which really resonated with her. And the statement that he said was, wherever you are, whether you're male or female, around the globe, we are all predisposed as human beings to visually process information in exactly the same way for those first initial couple of seconds. So after the talk, she took him to one side. She said, if what you are saying is true, and we are all predisposed to process that visual information exactly the same way for the first couple of seconds, you could be answering some really pressing questions, not only from a branding perspective, also from a marketing perspective. So if we were to work together on this, obviously with the heritage that Black Swan has in predictive data and the science that we have here, would there be an opportunity for us to take something to market to answer that question? The lecturer said yes. Fast forward 3 years, we're now working with the likes of PepsiCo and Unilever in very, very different ways. One of our biggest clients is GSK. So I was in a meeting with GSK around 2 months ago. Now, they as a company spend millions and millions and millions of pounds on their claims. But what they don't do, what they are starting to do now is they're starting to think, right, I've got a brand like Zavirax, very, very seasonal product. We've gone through study focus groups and we found that the message that's resonated with the consumer is Zavirax cuts the life cycle of your cold sore in half. Now what we can do using Dragonfly is we can optimize that packaging to ensure that when someone's walking through that shopping centre, when they're walking down the aisle, that is the first thing that is going to get their attention, grab their attention and ensure that the consumer knows exactly what they are buying. Okay? So finally, you know, as a piece, there's always been a juxtaposition between design and science. So now you can scientifically prove that your creative is optimized for that cut through. Okay? So now we come on to the fun bit, the actual demo itself. Okay, so when you first log into the tool itself, you see there are 4 options here. Now, the really, really big USP that we have, and something that no one else has as a piece of tech, is the real-time functionality. So that's within the capture option. So here we go. Everyone looking very nice in the room today. So what I'm able to do here is I'm able to move the camera around the room. Whilst it's doing that, it's recalibrating in real time where your visual attention would be drawn to. Now, as a marketer and as a designer, if I'm creating a out-of-store piece, or if I'm wanting to see how my product is performing in relation to the competitors on shelf, all I can do is I can take this tool into a shopping centre. I can simply just capture that image there. Then what I can do is I can simply run an analysis. So it's a multi-grid framework, because obviously you're going to have different levels of richness. So if you're reviewing a website, for example, that's going to be far more rich in content compared to, let's say, a movie poster where it may just be a headline, maybe a picture of a man holding or doing some form of action. It will be a hashtag, we're doing the hashtag generation now, and it'll be the name of the film and a date. So, for example, if I wanted to run a saliency score analysis within that area, I get an overall regional score there. So if I were to put that into context with some actual user examples and cases, what I can do is I can go back, I can go to import, I've got image, I've got some saved images here, so let's go to Expo. So this is an example of a Sainsbury's store from back at home. So Tropicana here, you're seeing, just from a very simple visual perspective, is drawing most of that visual attention in that first couple of seconds. But if I want to compare, get some statistical analysis out of it to take that away and then start making some interpretive data from that, all I then need to do is run the grid map, run the regional saliency score. I then change the grid size again. I then get an overall score for Tropicana, so I can see Tropicana have an overall saliency of 77. And by the way, lots of people in the room would be wondering what's a really good score. Now, it's a score from 1 to 100. Now, if you are wanting to be above and above everyone else, what you need to create is what we call a visual hierarchy. So a visual hierarchy is where you may have 5 or 6 pieces within one piece of marketing collateral. You may have one key cut-through message there. What you want to do is you want to make sure that one message has a far higher saliency score than everything else, just to ensure that cut-through. Okay? So then I could compare Tropicana to the likes of Innocent, which, as you can see, comes out significantly lower within that case. So if I then go back, I then can add it to a new perspective. So let's review the Dove website. So take the score off here. So you guys can probably make an interpretation or have an idea of, as a brand, what would be prioritized to them and what they would have as their number one cut-through message within that piece of collateral. You then run it over. You can actually see that their imagery has by far taken over their visual attention out of everything else on the page. So if, for example, they wanted to ensure that navigation around their website was very easy to do so. I could actually go back to the brand and tell them that their saliency score is actually coming around quite low. It's actually a score of 19. So even though an aesthetically a very nice looking site, one could argue that they've lost the battle again because navigation is coming at the bottom out of everything else. Whereas the choice of image they've gone for here is far overpowering everything else on that page, and that has a saliency of 75. So it could simply be a very simple change of being able to change that image. But obviously without this tool, one wouldn't know, and obviously you're going to be able to very much decrease your bounce rate. You'll be optimizing all your user journeys simply from this very unbiased statistical analysis. So we're actually benchmarked against the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. So that's the MIT 300. So we've actually been benchmarked against it as one of, if not the most accurate visual saliency tools on the market. Okay, then go back. So this is one of my most interesting user cases. This is A/B testing. So one of our clients in PepsiCo, they came to us a while ago, and they brought out a new range of Quaker Oats, with the USP, their main claim, being the conveniency of 2 minutes. So they've got 2 flavors, golden syrup and original. Now, if I run, again, the saliency analysis over it, you would imagine that they would ensure that the main claim they have here would remain the most salient. However, when you directly compare those 2 pieces of marketing collateral together, you can see the difference. And obviously, if they're still wanting to ensure that uniformity between those 2 packagings, again, they've managed to completely lose that voice just by a very simple design change there. And obviously what it allows you to do is this tool really comes into its own behind the scenes, because for a brand or a marketer to take anything into a focus group or marketing, or then take packaging all the way through to the end, that's a very expensive process. If you can eliminate 5 or 6 options down to 2, you then take it into market there, you're going to find that you've got a very strong ROI based on boiling down those initial options. So then we go back to the presentation. So as I said, the tool itself is incredibly malleable and applicable, and can be applied to any piece of marketing collateral. So through the entire journey from start to finish, all through initial concept of a packaging, all the way through website, then taking out to market with print media. If you were to then be paying for a POS installation, you can be ensuring not necessarily that eye level is bi level, but maybe your positioning in comparison to your competitors is going to ensure that you have that cut through. Okay, so the key benefits of the tool, it's really providing you a very objective and unbiased statistical analysis. So for you to go through a study group, obviously what's happening is you're supplanting them with many questions before you get any data back, and what you're doing, you're very much biasing the data based on that. The real-time functionality is very much based on the fact that the algorithm is based on an intrinsic model, rather than a lot of the other guys in the market which are based on an extrinsic model, which means for you to get any form of useful data, you have to upload it onto a secondary algorithm. It drives very effective marketing collateral decisions. So rather than being around a boardroom having very personalized decisions about what you think is the most effective means to move forward, you can simply use this tool, ride it over, and then you get a very quick decision from that. Okay, I'm sorry it's been really rushed, but I think it's open to questions if anyone has any.